So I don't know why your dad doesn't believe us, Sammy, that we have the ability to do all of these leagues. And I will be asking our co-host here in a matter of minutes how many leagues she's been in. But hey, welcome to the final weekend, as it for a lot of us in America. It is still a holiday weekend. The last chance, the last couple of days to go out there, get your drafts sorted because NFL football is going to return on Thursday. So without further ado, Sammy, let's just go ahead and start the show.
Welcome to our Fantasy Island.
All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Fantasy Island. Very excited to be talking to you here this evening. Again, the NFL season kicks off on Thursday night, which means fantasy gets going. And over the last couple of weeks, and for maybe a couple of months even, we decided, hey, let's just devote the Monday show to fantasy football. Now, obviously, this is a Bears podcast, or a majority of it's a Bears podcast, but the response has been so great to you. So this is actually all of your fault. You guys have been so great in hanging out with us, asking us questions, and we're like, you know what, let's bring it into the season. And we really wanted to do this correctly. And I said, listen, I got to go out and I got to get one of the best in the business to join us on a recurring basis. And we absolutely did that. You know her from Fantasy Life. She's on Sirius XM from 9 to 11 Eastern, 7 to 9 on the West Coast, which is when I usually catch her. And joining us here every other Monday on the Fantasy Island, it's our good friend, Kendall Valenzuela. Kendall, how you living?
Hello. How's it going, Adam? Good to be back. I'm excited to be here. We're in drafts as we speak right now because the grind never stops, and we're ready for a great show. Appreciate you having me back.
Well, we were sitting there talking before in the green room, and I don't like to do the show in the green room, as my producers will attest. However, I'm like, listen, you got asked, how many leagues are you doing? And you said the number was?
Yeah, 25. And I feel like that could be low for some people, but it's what I would like to manage here. What are you at? You've got to be at 25.
I feel like without counting it, it's got to be around 25. I do know that Yahoo made me pay $25 last night because I showed up to an event at Desert Beer Company in I think it's Bermuda Dunes, California, but Palm Desert, Indio, Coachella Valley. And they're like, oh yeah, we set up the league already. We're ready to go. It's a Yahoo league. I'm like, oh, cool. And I go to sign on. They're like, sorry, Adam, you owe us $25 if you want to continue. Which and my good friends Jason Kilbaka, Matt Harmon. I don't know if I can mention Andrew Siciliano works there. So I'm like, all right, I'll help keep the lights on over there by paying the 20 because Yahoo clearly needs the money.
Yeah, no, it's so nice of you. Good job.
But it's fun. And I really do love the opportunity to go out there and draft with people. I know that you and I, we do a ton of drafts, but the ones that we get to do with people in person are always the most special. So that's always a lot of fun.
Yeah, 1,000. I just got back. I went to, I think it was 2 weeks ago now. It feels like maybe it was last weekend, but I did the circus series. So I did the women's circus series, which was so fun. And then, a little bit of FFWC, I want to say is what it's called, but sometimes I get that all mixed up. So did a couple drafts there, did a Beat Kendall League. So it's so fun to be able to do them in person. I wish I could do more. But it is what it is.
Did you do one with Colleen Wolfe? Were you in her league by any chance?
No, I was in a different league. Yeah, but I did the women's series and they did a great job put on by Women of Fantasy Football. It was so fun. It was a great time. And my team is stacked. So that's all that matters.
No, and I noticed right away when you're in one of the suites at the Circa, because we do a draft there as well. I'm like, I know exactly. I don't know the floor, but yeah, always a good time. And thanks to our friends over at Circa. They do a tremendous job going out there hosting events all day and all night, whenever you want to do it. It's in Vegas. It's 24/7. But let's get to some fantasy questions. I want to, you know what, Sammy, do we have a question from the crowd? I have my own personal questions, but I've been sitting out here with the small talk. So let me see if we have a question we can dial up. So Artie S wants to know, can Scadaboo take over the starting RB role? This is interesting to me. What are we thinking?
Oh, well, I went to Arizona State, so I'm probably the most biased person you can ask. The best game of my life. So, yeah, the best game of my life that I've attended so far has been the Peach Bowl in Atlanta this past January, where I got to see Arizona State almost Do it, Adam. And it was still, even though they lost, it was still the best day ever. But I fully believe that he can. Now, I will say this, Cam Scatterbu, I had a ton of exposure to early in July, when we were drafting in June, because I fully believe that he can take over this backfield. Now, the injury that he had during the preseason made me slow down just a little bit, because we know how important it is for these rookies to go out there and just kind of get acclimated, get up to game speed, get into it with the coaching staff, learn the playbook, all of that stuff. So it did make me a little bit nervous, him coming out of this training camp with an injury, but it's more so, to me, I look at Tyrone Tracy and I say, when he starts to either fumble or drop passes,
Right.
That's when they're going to look at Cam Scatterbu and say, you know what are we doing here? Because it's obvious that this regime is already, it's the hottest seat that there can be in right now going into the season. So I think that they're going to take no chances. And I think if Cam Scatterbu is the best answer, it's going to be Cam Scatterbu. Like I will have no problem saying that in a few weeks' time that he'll be, the running back, the RB1 in this backfield. Again, I'm biased, but I do believe, to start things off, it will be Tyrone Tracy. You might have to wait a little bit, but I would not be surprised if we saw Cam Scatterbu come out and do that stuff.
I'm kind of an Arizona State fan as well. Hung out many a night at the Bender Snatch back in the day when it used to exist. Back in the day, I remember the best college football game I ever went to was the start of the 1996 season. Jake Plummer was the senior quarterback playing host to Washington, where they gave up a 21-point lead in the fourth quarter, and then Jake rallied to lead them to a victory, which of course went on to start a magical season that went all the way to the Rose Bowl. My dad, liked UCLA. He was he didn't go to college. He was a Navy right off the farm in Illinois. And but he loved that ASU team. And I've never, outside of a Bears loss, I've never seen him more gutted in my life than when the Devils lost the Rose Bowl that year to not Joe Germain, not Stanley Jackson was benched for Joe Germain. But in any event, when it comes to Cam Scatterbu, and I think if you're still drafting right now, the interesting thing that I found, like similar to you, trying to get as much Cam Scatterbu, and he was going up the boards really high, but those injuries kind of help with the cost. So I've been finding him later and later in drafts, and you're like, oh, because I was similar. Pump the brakes. He's going to be injured, and you're like, oh, but now nobody's drafting him. Yeah. I will be happy to take him off your hands. So, but we both, I think, are in agreement that he is eventually going to be the RB1 in the running back room there. All right, how about another one? How about another one from the crowd before I sneak one in on my own? What's your take on owning complete backfields on your roster? I have Caleb Johnson as my third running back, and should I try to pry Jaylen Warren from another team and sacrifice my number 2 back, Alvin Kamara? Ooh, what is your philosophy on this, Kendall?
I wouldn't give up Kamara for Jaylen Warren, and if that's wrong, you can tag me in a few weeks, and I'll just totally own up to it. But I will say I have had Jaylen Warren higher in my rankings over Caleb Johnson the whole season. It's been one of those things where when Najee Harris was, shipped off and he was out of the picture for like a 2-week span, we said, oh my gosh, how great is this? Kind of knowing that they were going to go and take someone in the draft, right? So for me, I have still been taking Jaylen Warren, and I like the extension that he got today. A little bit of news in the NFL on a Monday was kind of nice. Not that I necessarily think that, that means, we have to follow the money and that means he's going to be the RB1, but I do think Jaylen Warren in this backfield is the one that I'm going to have the most exposure to. And I do have a little bit of Caleb Johnson, but I try and pull back from rookie fever a little bit and look at the surroundings. Like, this is still the Steelers. This is still Arthur Smith, who hates us and will forever hate our fantasy football team. So he could be doing some weird stuff. But to me, I like Jaylen Warren more right now. I like him as a pass catcher. I like him with the opportunities that he has to be a little bit more explosive in this backfield. And so Caleb Johnson didn't have the best training camp, didn't have the best preseason. Not that we, totally take him off because of all of that. But we know Aaron Rodgers doesn't have a ton of patience as a quarterback. Yeah. So, he's probably going to go with Jaylen Warren a little bit more. Now, I will say I wouldn't trade Kamara for Jaylen Warren. I think he would lose that trade. I still like Kamara. I think he is someone that can still, be pretty solid as a running back. But yeah, I wouldn't trade those two. But I do like Warren this season. I really do.
It's a philosophy that I've tried to go with over the years. It's I would rather have an RB1 than an RB2, or whatever you perceive to be the RB2. And obviously you went in on Caleb Johnson. I like Caleb Johnson a lot too. And I tend to favor the rookies as well. Yeah. So this is one of those situations, but I similarly have a lot of shares of Caleb Johnson, but I have no Jaylen Warren because I didn't go back around and I didn't get him. The only places where I really felt compelled to go out there and get the backup is if I had CMC, I got Brian Robinson Jr. And then I tried to get Zach Charbonnet to back up my Kenneth Walker where possible. It wasn't always successful. And I know that there's a lot of savvy people out there who feel like somebody like Zach Charbonnet or somebody like Brian Robinson Jr. can just carve out their own role without having to be it. But it is one of those things, though. Alvin Kamara is not being challenged for any snaps. No. So while we're sitting here fading the Saints offense, he's probably going to be their number one. Like he's going to be their everything guy.
Yes.
At some point, he might even start taking snaps.
Exactly. Quarterback. What are we talking about? This offense is going to be so bad. The only thing that I think you have to worry about with Kamara is that eventually if they are losing so badly that before the fantasy playoffs, they shut it down. Or like, week 15, week 16, they start to slowly shut it down because why would you risk injury to a player like that who still has money on his contract? That's the only thing I think you have to worry about. But yeah, the regime hated Kendra Miller like last year. So
100%.
What do we do? Yeah, whatever happened. But I just think it's going to be okay with Kamara.
Like if they're 2-11 and they're gunning for the number one overall pick and Arch Manning is being like, yeah, I'm open to coming out. They're like, oh, okay. You better believe the Saints are not going to be winning games. Although I will say this, I expect that one of the teams like the Dallas Cowboys or the Saints, one of those two teams is going to win this week because whenever we come together as a collective and be like, these are the teams that are garbage. They have no chance of winning. Like, think about how many Circa Survivor pools I really feel are going to be destroyed this week. Now, a lot of people will probably save the Eagles for another time. Yeah. But I know there's a lot of people who are already gunning on the Cardinals. Like, yeah, we're taking the Cardinals this week. We're going to fade the Saints every week. Eventually, I think this could be the week that it ends up biting them. So something to keep in mind.
That would be kind of good. Are you calling it right now? Calling your shot? You taking the Saints over the
I'll take the Saints. I'm taking the Saints over the I'll take the Saints over the Cardinals.
All right.
I will come back. You'll be back in 2 weeks and I will own that. I will never forget. Don't worry about me.
We're transparent.
I'm happy to admit when I'm wrong.
Exactly.
100%.
We're transparent.
100%. You know what? So I'm going to ask you one of the questions of my own since it's a similar topic. Christian McCaffrey, the last couple of drafts, I've been in the 8th spot, and Christian McCaffrey has fallen to me. I've taken him every time. I cannot quit. How big of a mistake am I making by taking Christian McCaffrey 8th overall?
I don't think it's a mistake. It is a conscious choice that you're making that I have not made myself. So I applaud you. Someone asked us this on the radio the other day, and like you said, I just said we like to be transparent, and I went back in all my drafts, all my underdogs and everything, and I take underdog a little bit out of it because there's a little less risk. You don't have to, the start, sit, everything like that. I haven't taken him once. In those leagues that I just said where I'm drafting 3 tonight and maybe it'll change tonight. And I don't think it's me actively avoiding him, but I've gotten most of the back end picks this year. I've gotten 10, 11, 12, a lot. I've gotten a 4 pick and I've gotten a 6, and I could have taken him, I guess it's 6 and 4, but I liked other guys at the time. So to me, I think it's a little bit risky, right? We never want to draft scared. We never want to draft and say, well, this guy's got, he's got injuries, because anyone can get injured, but it's the history to me of injuries. It's the age. And it's going to be something though, Rank, where we could come back like mid-December and that could be something that loses me leagues, right? Because it's either going to be one thing or the other. He's either going to help you win leagues because that's who Christian McCaffrey is, or you're going to get the other side where he does get injured. And if you're drafting Christian McCaffrey, you hopefully are drafting Brian Robinson Jr. At the same time. So sorry to Isaac Guerrero managers that took him earlier before that news, but I think it's calculated risk. And I think though, if it does hit with CMC, we've seen what he's able to do before. Like he is someone that has all of the traits to help you win leagues. And we've seen historically too, running backs in that age range with the similar skill sets that he has had, like the Priest Holmes, the Marshall Fox, like they've been able to do it. And so it's just one of those things where I'm maybe just too scared to draft him. I'd rather go for the Jahmyr Gibbs at 4. I'd rather wait and get one of those receivers in that range. But that's been me. But it is haunting me a little bit. It is keeping me up at night.
It's not.
No,
fine.
It really is. No, it really is.
The best part of it is whenever I'm at the end of the first round, I always end up with some sort of combination of CMC and then Malik Neighbors.
Yes.
Because people are sleeping on Malik Neighbors and also Nico Collins. So I'm like, oh, okay. So like this is if I'm playing Madden with the injuries off, I'm winning this league. But
like
given everybody's injury history, you're like, because people will say that. And I think there was one league where I know that I have Malik Neighbors and Puka Nacua. And people are like, do you just not care about injuries? And I'm like, listen, there's a 100% rate of injury in the NFL. Everybody is going to be hurt.
Exactly.
And it's so unavoidable. And it's like, if you try to guess who's not going to get hurt, like, what are you doing? Like, what
you can't.
I understand. I think it's easier, but it's easy for us to say sometimes because, we're in like 1,000 leagues and we're like, okay. Like and this is the problem too. It's like, I had a team like that last season that had CMC, it had Dak Prescott, it had Malik Neighbor or Nico Collins, and I got to wear a loser jersey on NFL Fantasy Live, but it's fine because I take the risk.
Yeah.
Like there are fantasy managers out there. Like I have a high variance. I'm all or nothing. There's never going to be a year where I'm like 7-6. Like, my team was okay. It's like either horrifically bad or it's amazing. Exactly. And that's the way that I prefer to play my fantasy football.
That's why
I'm not
nervous.
afraid of it.
That's why I'm nervous about not having CM. It really does keep me up because you're like, you look at a running back that's projected for over 15 attempts and like 5 targets a game. If we don't see Juwan Jennings out there, they especially need him. Ricky Pearsall could step up, but like at some point you have to look around and say this passing game is going to funnel through CMC and a lot of Kittle, hopefully a lot of Kittle. But that's why it keeps me up, Adam. It's why it keeps me up at night because there's not a lot of running backs that you can say are projected for 50 plus targets and like over 10 touchdowns. And that's CMC. And I've got none of them. So maybe I'll change that tonight. Maybe in these drafts tonight, I'm doing a beat Adam Ronis league tonight. Maybe that'll be the one that I finally say, you know what? This is the time to do it. Wonderful. And then if it doesn't work out, I'm calling you.
And if it doesn't work out, but when it does work out, I won't be afraid to crown you.
Yeah, please.
And speaking of crowns, fantasy football just got royal. Yes, don't just win your league, rule your league. That's right. Crown Champs has everything you need to rule your fantasy league. They've got itemized crowns, robes, scepters, all sorts of jewels, everything that you would imagine. Scepters, like everything that you would account with royalty. They've got it at crownchampscompany.com. And listen, you could go out there and just do your thing and have your draft party at Applebee's and be sad while you're eating your awesome blossom. Or you could have your draft party at a rooftop. You could have a yacht, like all sorts of stuff. Because listen, Crown Champs is all about royalty, being a king or queen of your fantasy football league. And check this out. Crown Champs dropped the hottest thing fantasy's ever seen, a real handcrafted premium championship crown. It's just $2.99 a month per person. Rack up points, win weekly challenges, get voted as king or queen trash talker, and unlock real life merch at crownchampscompany.com. That's crownchampscompany.com. Make sure you check it out. Fantasy football just got royal. All right, Sammy, how about another question? Ishmael. It was just blank. Okay. Please grade my team. Okay, here we go. PPR team, 12-team league. Bo Henderson, Bo Nix, Travion Henderson, David Montgomery, Nico Collins, Drake London, T. Higgins, Colston Loveland, his bench,
jeez,
Emeka Ibuka, Jordan Mason, Zach Charbonnet, Trey Benson, Bashil Tootin, and I got to be honest with you, Kendall, this is a really nice squad. 12-team league.
Yeah, I was gonna say 12-team. Are we sure? Like that's like an 8-team league. You walked away with it. Just ask for the money now, and just say, hey, just pay me what I need. The bench, especially if anyone has a Emeka Ibuka on their bench and don't need to use him right away, he's someone that I don't know who your people are this year, but like he's someone where if it doesn't work out, I will go down this year. Like
cooked.
It's just not
100% cooked.
Like my Emeka Ibuka bags are so heavy. Zach Charbonnet too. I'm going to end up, and I like Kenneth Walker. I think he could be a league winner. I'm going to end up with more Zach Charbonnet than Kenneth Walker this season. And it's just the feeling that I have. But that bench, that was a nice team. I kind of want that team. Not gonna lie.
I'm really jealous. I'm going to try to replicate that here in a couple of minutes when we log off. And I got 2 more drafts left. I know you got a couple of drafts left tonight too. Mm-hmm. But it's one of those things like early. I remember back in the day. I sound like an old timer. I remember back in the day when I was getting both Ricky Pearsall and Emeka Egbuka in consecutive rounds, and you're like, this is the best. This is the best time of my life. Unfortunately, those two guys go like back to back. When one of them gets drafted, the next one immediately gets drafted.
Yes.
100%. Like, it's like, oh yeah, like I'll take this guy. It is just one of those things that I found. It's one of the fun things about like whenever people say things like, why do you draft early? It's so ridiculous. You haven't seen preseason, but at the same time, we're in on the ground floor of Emeka Egbuka. We're in on the ground floor of Ricky Pearsall. It's like buying Amazon when it was 10 cents a share, as opposed to now, whatever it's going for at the moment.
Exactly.
We lose out because we'll have all these Isaac Guerrero shares.
That's fine. Like, we don't have to. We don't have to talk. My Marshawn Lloyd shares, horrible. trying to fix that as we speak. Going to get Emmanuel Wilson, but let me tell you, drafting Tedero McMillan at pick 100 plus on ESPN was like a high that I'm gonna try and chase for the rest of the season. Like, it was so good. I need to go back to it, but people catch on. I know.
So great. So great. All right. How about another question from the crowd? It's so funny too. Let's talk with Aaron. If I'm outside of the top 6 in the draft, I saw this come through Twitter. In the first round in a 12-man league, should I go wide receiver in the first round or go running back in the second? What is your philosophy? Like, I know that everybody has a plan. Yeah. But what do you do when that plan just starts to blow up in your face?
Which it usually does. Like, always go in with a plan. That's what I always tell people. Go in with a plan. But then make sure that you know that it's not going to happen, like, by the second, third round. My take on, like, I've loved actually drafting outside the top 6 this season. I've loved pick. Yeah. And
you talked about that.
Granted, it's because I've never been able to get a pick inside the top 3 anyway. So I don't know who I need to talk to you about that. But I really like the back half of the draft because I think I like the receivers more that come that way and the running backs, because then I don't have to pick between Tyreek Hill going pretty close towards the 2-3 turn. I don't have to pick about like DK Metcalf. I'm like, I like these receivers, but not enough. And it's a big question. So for me, I, especially this season, have liked to walk away with at least 1 or 2 running backs, going into the 5th round, because I think there's so much value at wide receiver this season that it's one of these things where I'm like, okay, I want to get these good running backs. I want to get an anchor RB for my team, sometimes even a superhero RB, where you just say, hey, I could go back to back and I'm still feeling okay with the receivers that I'm getting. So this season, especially, I'm usually a 0 RB drafter, and I've totally changed this season. I have drafted and made sure to get 1 running back and anchored that to my team, and then made sure to go get some receivers, because I just think there's really good value late. Like, and same with the running backs. Like, Travion Henderson is someone that I've drafted a ton of. Marion Hampton, who got more and more expensive as the weeks went on, but there's just really good value at wide receiver this season.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where you just have to be like water, and you just never know how the draft is going to break out. You don't know what people are going to do in front of you. And if you're sitting there, let's say the 8th spot, there was a time where CeeDee Lamb fell all the way to me at 8 because all the running backs, like Ashton Genty went before him, CMC, Saquon, Jahmyr Gibbs, Bijan, and you're like, okay, well, they're locking in. And then somebody went Malik Neighbors in front of so you have to just be prepared for it. And then whatever somebody does behind you as well, if Bucky Irving comes off the board and some of these other guys, okay, well, then what do I do? Because if I'm sitting there and I have CeeDee Lamb and somehow Malik Neighbors makes it back to me, even if I wanted to go wide receiver, running back, I'm pivoting at that point. But you're like, well, hold on. This is Malik Neighbors. I'm going to go out there and do that, as opposed to like reaching for somebody. I know Breece Hall is not a great example, but reaching for Devon Achane. Like, Devon Achane over the last couple of weeks has just absolutely frightened me.
Yes.
It's one of those things.
He's the guy that I've gotten a lot because I've been at that stupid, 1-2 turn on the back end. So I'm like, pick, my 12th overall pick, and I'm getting stuck with Puka Nacua and then Achane. I saw we had the GST, the Greenwich Street Tavern draft a couple weeks ago. And Adam got Puka, I think, at the 2-3 turn, if I remember correctly. Like, Puka Nacua fell so
yes, that's right.
He
right.
goes so far that Adam talked about that. He was like, my plan was to go with the running back here. We love Bucky. I know he loves Chase Brown, and that's kind of the range that they go in. But he said, you know what? I can't pass up on this value of Puka falling to me. Even if it doesn't work out, it's already baked into the ADP. So that's why it's so important when you go into these drafts, always have a plan. Have guys you like, queue them up, but just know that sometimes value will fall to you, and sometimes, most of the time, your draft isn't going to go how you planned because it's fantasy football. Why would it do that?
Queue up the first 20 picks in order. Even if it sounds ridiculous to be like, make sure Jamar Chase is on there or whatever. That way, when you see it in real time, because I know the last time that you came on, we were talking about Brian Thomas Jr. and Malik Neighbors and how much we liked them, that like when those guys are still there, and actually this happened to me last night in a 14-team league where I had maybe the 8th pick, maybe it's the 10th pick, somewhere like way down the board. But I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe that Malik Neighbors fell to me again. And then I was like, I've got to go out there and get my running back. And then Brian Thomas Jr. was still sitting there. And I'm like, I can't pass him up.
Exactly.
I love him way too much. And because it was a 14-team league and I knew that I was missing out on all the elite quarterbacks, I told the guys around me, I go, you know what? I'm really going to hate myself because I know I'm going to settle for Trevor Lawrence. Because I want to stack him with Brian Thomas Jr. and I'm okay with it.
It could have been worse. I mean, you got like Trevor. I like Trevor Lawrence. That was your first quarterback. That is probably a little nerve-wracking, but that's okay. Like he's going to do great. We'll just manifest that.
We'll be fine. Well, let's talk about. I want to ask you about somebody else.
Yeah,
Travis Hunter, because Travis Hunter has been like a lightning rod. Because there are people convinced. Because we love Brian Thomas Jr. But there's people like, because I'm like, hey. And I'm because people are talking about other wide receivers that when you have Jamar Chase and he has T. Higgins, CeeDee Lamb now has George Pickens, Puka now has Devontae Adams. I'm like, every time that one of these alpha male wide receivers gets a guy to run with him, you think like, oh, this is going to shoot him through the moon. Except with Brian Thomas Jr., they somehow feel like it meant worse. But I guess my question is, what are your thoughts on Travis Hunter? Like, what do you think his fantasy outlook is going to be? Because I'm a little nervous about taking him.
Yeah, I was nervous about taking him. I think when he first came on, right, and they said, well, it's going to be a 50-50 split, because at that point you're looking around and you're saying, if there's anything like 50-50 offensively, like he's not going to pay off for you in fantasy football. It's just not going to happen. But I was still willing to take him in the range that he was going, because the other side is that if he hits, he has the potential to be a top 24 receiver. I think easily, I know that's like really high for some people, but he easily has the ability to be that top receiver. There's a lot of things that have to go right. We can talk about Trevor Lawrence here, but I have actually liked him. I know that the guys over at Fantasy Life, Dwayne McFarland and Matthew Friedman, do a great job with their projections. And talking to them, they had him projected for 80% plus snaps on offense. And if that comes true, where you were getting him in drafts earlier in the season, even right now, I want to say like he's going to outperform that ADP. So I know a lot of people think it's risky. I have definitely, when I draft Brian Thomas Jr., I don't come back with anything like Travis Hunter. It's not that kind of offense where I feel so good about it. Adam and I have talked about, Adam Ronis and I have talked about drafting, I've taken a good amount of CeeDee Lamb, and he's comfortable taking CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens in some drafts. This is not the same. This isn't the offense that I would be doing that with. But right. Travis Hunter, for me, if he really does get to 80%, of the offensive snaps, it's just going to be one of those things where he's going to shine in fantasy football. And I think the people that took him early, or even the people that took him today, are going to be like, yeah, this was a great pick. So I'm okay with them. But Trevor Lawrence also has to be good. Like we have to see a Trevor Lawrence that we saw like 2022, 2023, right? And that could be, if he doesn't do that, then our bags of Travis Hunter are going to be like down bad. But I think he can get there because he does have like a sneaky good, he does have sneaky good passing upside. He's run a little bit before too. So if we see him get back to that, which I think we will with this new coaching staff, like I like him. I like Trevor Lawrence. I take him as my second quarterback in a lot of leagues because I'm very comfortable. Like if I get an elite guy and I want to wait a while, getting a Trevor Lawrence, getting, one of the later JJ McCarthy shares, I'm good with it.
Yeah. Believe me, I would have preferred to maybe not go, but I knew because, a 14-team league. And then once the run started on quarterbacks and you're like, okay, it's like, I was like, well, I just got to try to get Dak Prescott. And they're like, nope. Not even getting Dak Prescott coming back to me. I'm like, okay, well then everybody here is committed to going out there and getting Cowboys and getting all the quarterbacks, and it is what it is.
Right.
And again, you got to have a plan and be ready to go. I did back him up with, if it's not JJ McCarthy, it's Caleb. I got one of the other two.
Well, both of those are
great. You know what it was? You know who it was? Actually, funny enough,
Rice.
It was Sam Darnold.
Oh no, that's okay.
But they both have the same, and they both have the same bye week. And I knew that when I drafted them. I'm like, this sucks. But I got to take them for the injury. Well, because of the injury thing. But it's week 8, so it's going to be fine.
It'll be fine.
But I actually really like Sam Darnold because I mean, he's going to Clint Kubiak. It's not like he's going to some dreadful offense. It's going to be fine.
I need to change my tune on. I am. You see my Sonic shirt. I'm a hater a little bit. I need to soften. I need to soften a little bit on poor Sam Darnold because
you really need to.
I know. JSN. I love JSN. He's just, depending on where you draft, right? That's where you get him. He's not someone that I'm going to take at that turn, at the 1-2 turn. I just can't do it. It's too early, but yeah, I'm a little bit of a hater. I need to be better. I've taken a good amount of Torrey Horton though, just in case.
Okay, well, that's fair. I just drafted Torrey Horton like a couple of minutes ago, right before the show started. I will tell you this: if the hate does not erase, then we will do a show one night from the Denny's in San Clemente that overlooks Triton Field, the high school where Sam Darnold played. You can never, like, everybody knows this. If you ever have driven to San Diego, you know the Denny's. Like, everybody knows the Denny's. Like, oh, and the sign is iconic. And you're like, yeah, Sam Darnold's high school was right over there. So I've been a big fan for a long time. So I'm a true believer in Sam Darnold. Okay, how about a couple other questions? How about some more questions? We got time. We got some time.
Yeah.
If you need to bounce to go do a draft or something, let me know.
I'm in it right now. So if I'm looking down, that's why.
No. We understand. I'm doing the same thing. I'm setting up the league. I'm setting up my things. Anyways, Fantasy Burner wants to know 12 team, 3 wide receivers and a flex, half point PPR. Started draft with Jamar. Wonderful. Running back Josh Allen, then 2 wide receivers are Jamar. Oh, this is what he's at. Okay.
Wait, Jamar.
So this is the strategy that he's trying to go with. Start with Jamar, running back Josh Allen, then 2 wide receivers, or Jamar, running back, wide receiver. You know what? This is I like where your head's at. I like that you're planning things, and I like you're trying to get ahead of it all, Fantasy Burner. But you got to be willing to adjust. Because it depends on who the running back is and who the wide receiver is and all of that stuff. I just feel like
I like the last piece though. Think I need at least 1 running back first 3 rounds or gets too thin. Like I do like that one. That one is good. If you try to get too nitty gritty, then sometimes you're just like overthinking it, and then all of a sudden you're taking Josh Allen when you didn't really need to. I'm a firm believer in waiting on quarterbacks unless I can get one of the elite. Jalen Hurts has fallen to me in a few drafts where I'm just like, listen, I just have to take him at this point. Same with Joe Burrow. So I'm never going to be the first person in my league to draft Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. But I do agree with the running backs, like getting a running back anchored to your team that's good and solid, and then going absolutely crazy on wide receivers.
Yeah, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Also, if you went Jamar, and then you went running back, wide receiver, whatever you did, whatever combination you did, depending on your league. And again, it depends on how everybody drafts. Some leagues go crazy for quarterbacks. Some leagues, everybody ignores it. If Joe Burrow somehow, and I'm not saying don't pin your hopes on this, but Joe Burrow has a possibility to fall to you in the 4th round, that would be a nice little stack to have right there.
Exactly.
Just something to keep in mind as you're doing it. So I wouldn't go with Josh Allen that early because I would want to make sure that I got a running back. Although if you got a stud running back that you were very happy with and wanted to go with Josh Allen, I'm not upset with that either. A lot of different ways. You got to.
There's a lot. But if you were starting 3 receivers and 1 or 2 flex, like get those receivers go off the board quick. Like that's the one thing that I've learned doing those high stakes leagues and everything like that. You want to anchor your team to a running back, but if you're anywhere close to starting 3 receivers, 2 flex, get the receivers early because you all of a sudden there's this tier break where you're looking around saying, "Oh, gross! Do I really have to go like this deep, this far, and start Rashid Shaheed in the flex?" That's a place that I'm at in one of my leagues where I'm just like, it goes so fast. So just be careful if you're taking a quarterback that early. Know you're probably going to have to chase the rest of the draft. If it's 3 receivers, 2 flex, 3 receivers, 1 flex.
Now I was talking about Denny's in Southern California, but if you're in Chicago, Chicago, where's your next game day going to be? I'm going to tell you right now, go to Twisted Shamrock. If you're a real Chicago sports fan, and I'm talking about a fan of the Bears, Bulls, Cubs, White Sox, Blackhawks, Sky, Fire, you need to be watching the games at Twisted Shamrock. They've got monster TVs in the private party room, over the main bar, and outside on the stellar patio. It is patio weather in Chicago right now, so go take advantage of it. Swing by Twisted Shamrock, where Chicago sports come together. Go there, say you heard about it on the Sick Podcast, and order yourself an old-fashioned. Let them know. They do have the best old-fashions in the entirety of the Midwest. I'm comfortable and now going. For a while, it was the state of Illinois. I've now made it the entirety of the Midwest. So I'm sorry to Baxter's in Minneapolis. You've been surpassed by the Twisted Shamrock Pub in Chicago, right there by Midway Airport. Oh, it's
nice.
One of my favorite spots. Okay, how about another question from the crowd? Thank you so much, everybody who is participating. Stephon Diggs or Golden as the flex. Like this is, I mean, we're
getting into it, huh?
This is great. Yeah, I was talking to a former NFL player last night who I was drafting with.
Nice. Sick
and
flex.
He was, I know, I was listening, but I know he might have been speaking in confidence to me. Was not the hugest fan of Stephon Diggs. I won't repeat everything that he said. It did give me a little bit, because I actually, this will be a flex. I was talking to Manti Te'o the other day, and he's like, "Hey, you like Stephon Diggs?" And I'm like, Manti, come on, you watch enough football, you know. There's other guys out there who play the position, not just the dudes who've been around for the last number of years. I don't know how ready I am to go in on Matthew Golden yet. Because I want to see the way the targets are distributed. I anticipate him ending up as the most targeted player in that receiver room. Although that's the thing too. It's like, what receiver is taking away targets from him? But they still got Jaden Reed and Montavian Wicks and all these other guys. I don't know. This is interesting. Oh,
who are you going with? I'm going with Golden. And
you?
I'm going with Golden for sure.
And the matchup against the Lions seems pretty.
Yeah.
You convinced me. All right, I'll go Matthew. I'm trying not to be biased, because as everything's been happening with the Packers and everything that they do is always so celebrated. Like, oh, they got Micah Parsons, blah, blah, blah. You're okay, fine. The Lions are getting back Aiden Hutchinson, who's also a good player. Nobody cares. That wasn't nobody wants to bring that up. Nobody. Okay, fine. Apparently that doesn't matter to anybody in the NFL. Only Micah Parsons is the only guy who sacks quarterbacks. I love Josh Jacobs, and I think Josh Jacobs is such a great play. Yeah, I just don't like Stephon. I think I'm more anti-Stephon Diggs.
No, I definitely can tell, because you're trying to find any way to not say, yeah, go ahead and start Stephon Diggs. I actually don't mind Stephon Diggs. I think everything was baked into his price. I know people are basically done with drafts now, but I think everything was basically baked into his price and his ADP, that I just said sometimes, you know what, if I know I'm going for the late Drake May stack, why not pair him with Stephon Diggs? Like, I think he's the veteran receiver that May needs. And again, if you're making me pick between like him and Deebo Samuel, two older veteran receivers that change teams, like I'm gonna go with Diggs. But if it's between Diggs Golden, I know if you look at the matchup, you're like, but in the flex, I'm probably gonna go with Golden like 95% of the time.
Yeah, there is something to be said about the unknown. Like, what do we know? And you know what? Coming into the draft process, I really did like Matthew Golden. I had him ranked ahead of Ted McMillan. Based on, I thought that would have been a better fit for Carolina, but you know what? They didn't take my advice. Also, Steve Smith Sr. tried to talk me out of Ted McMillan too.
What?
Because Steve didn't like him as much, and there was a back and forth between those two on Twitter, and I'm like, be like, Steve, so what are we doing here? And then he breaks things down the way he does, and I'm like, okay, I'm in. I'm with you.
No,
I don't usually argue with Steve.
You don't like Ted?
I do, though.
Okay.
You know what? I can't ignore it. Well, this is the thing. I can't ignore the opportunity. Exactly. So if I was a GM and I was drafting for the Carolina Panthers, actually the player I would have drafted was Colston Loveland. But if I was drafting for the Carolina Panthers, I would have picked Matthew Golden. But right now, given the circumstances and given the fact that they just traded away Adam Thielen, I'm going to go with Ted McMillan. Like, just the opportunities better.
He's going to have 135 plus targets. He's a big bodied receiver. I like Ted. Yeah. This is me trying to talk everyone into it because I've taken so much Ted McMillan that you can check back in on me in November. If it's not working out, then I'll probably cry. It's fine. Everything's fine.
No, it's okay. The big receivers always work really well in the NFC South. You think about Mike Evans and Julio Jones and all those guys. Tall receivers in the NFC South always seem to dominate. So he will be a good one. I'm good with it. I've been drafting him. I haven't been avoiding him. Again, once he was given, once the Panthers said, this is our guy, then you're like, okay, I'm not going to argue with you.
You're like, all right, perfect.
And if you had to choose between him and Matthew Golden, I would go with Ted McMillan because his team has the better quarterback. All right, how about another question? No, I said that too fast. You agreed. I don't think you heard what I said.
I didn't hear what you said. And no, wait.
Don't hold on. Don't hold Kendall to that. We haven't worked together enough yet to know that I will do, because I do this.
No, wait.
I do this to my co-hosts a lot. We're like, wait, what the hell did you just say?
I'm like, wait, no, don't clip that.
Wait a minute. Don't clip me agreeing with him that Bryce Young is better than Jordan Love. I didn't sign off on that.
No.
You're going to go to your agent after this, be like, never again with Ryan. He's trying to. She did not. I meant that.
You're blocking
she did
the
not.
Numbers.
Oh, my God. Okay. How about another question there, Sammy? Who should I start? Jameson Williams or Calvin Ridley? I've seen a lot of I think a lot of spiciness comes with Jameson Williams. I know that the Packers, I don't think Micah Parsons is going to play. The latest reporting is that Micah Parsons has to have an epidural. There are some other things that are going on. I don't think it's a Jalen Ramsey situation where he gets traded and all of a sudden his back problems go away. So I think that the Packers, and listen, they don't have Kenny Clark anymore. So that's a significant thing. I think there's an opportunity for the Lions to go out there and move the football. I will take Jameson Williams in this one, although it's a tough one, but do you agree?
Yeah, I'm taking Jameson only because I don't like Surtain in week 1. I'm not necessarily loving that for Calvin Ridley. So I'm definitely going to go with Jameson Williams on this one. But it's close. Like it's close enough where it's a really good question.
Yeah, that's why I asked. It's a good question.
No, you've got
listen, we're putting our names on these. So if you get it wrong, we'll come back. We'll apologize.
Oh, yeah.
I don't like when the fantasy people are like, either one of them. Like, no, they're asking you. They want you to give your opinion. You can't be like, they're both good. Like, yeah, I know. Well, I'm going to make an opinion. I'm going to go Jameson Williams.
Exactly.
I think there's going to be something goofy. And it's week 1 where there's so much goofy stuff that always happens too. And I always just love the chaos. Love the chaos.
Yeah.
Let's go with how about another question there, Sam? Do we got something else? Who's going to go undrafted that will be a lineup lock in the second half of the season? Vince, thanks for asking. I'll throw out mine really quick and just say that Kyle Monangai ends up as a Bears. This is sort of a Bears podcast still. I know there's a lot of the Chicago people are wandering in here. Go, what the hell? Why are you here? This is what we do. We're talking fantasy. You'll be fine. We're going to be on with just another year tomorrow. So don't worry. The Bears podcast will be back tomorrow. But I love Kyle Monangai. And of course, all the Bears fans are now chiming in. Luther Burden.
There we go. Luther Burden.
There it is, Zachary. Luther, they're all of them. Yeah, of course.
That.
Very biased. As somebody who doesn't support the Chicago Bears, what are your thoughts on Kyle Monangai?
Oh, I love Kyle Monangai. Like I thought that just overall that Swift ran way more pure this offseason than I thought he would. Like there were rumors, remember, that you guys were going to go out and draft Ashton Genty like 12 hours before the draft started. And I'm like, oh my gosh, could they actually do that? And then they didn't really go and do anything in the draft that much at running back. Let me just say that. And then they didn't add in free agency. So I think like for everything it's worth, he ran really pure this offseason. So I really like drafting him as someone that's like a later running back, that just kind of feels like he's being overlooked. I've taken small shares of Roschon Johnson, but I think that if it were to go down, that it'd be one of those things where Monangai would just step in, not necessarily be the whole RB1. I think there'd be a split, but I love Kyle Monangai. I love Taj Brooks too. If we're talking late round guys, these would be unfortunate because they need injuries, right? I don't think that they're going to have standalone value, but those are two of my favorite like guys that either in 20 rounds get drafted at the very end or they go undrafted. Super fun.
No, I completely agree with that too. It it's one of those things too that even with the injuries situation the Bears have had during the offseason, they haven't gotten out there and really replaced anybody. They didn't bring in Jamal Williams or anybody like that who was going to be a threat to take carries away from DeAndre Swift or anybody else who's in the backfield, which to me says they're comfortable with who they have. I think when Ben Johnson got to Chicago and he saw DeAndre Swift, and understandably they'd moved on from him in Detroit, I think part of that had to do with salary cap implications and things of that nature. So honestly, like if Ben Johnson's cool with them, then I'm cool with them too. Yeah. So I'm happy to go with DeAndre Swift, and I will take Kyle Monangai. How about another question? We have another question. Should I keep Joe Mixon stashed in my IR spot? Well, I mean, like if it's not if it's not keeping you from making another move, I'm into it. But at the same time, like oh my God, I was always so worried. If I ever had to go through, like I was leaving a draft today in a guillotine league. It's a 20-team guillotine league, and I had to go on, and I'm like, well, in case something happens if I'm on the air, and I got to make sure that I just having to queue up every player to make sure that Joe Mixon did not fall onto my team, because this is a guy I just don't want him at all. I mean, if you get him for free in an IR spot, fine, but like I would avoid this situation as much as possible.
Yeah, no, don't draft Joe. There's a chance that Joe Mixon does not play in 2025. Like there is a really good possibility that like if he's not doing anything right, if he's not keeping you from drafting someone else, or you have someone else that you could put on the IR spot, sure, I guess just keep him. But if you have someone during the season, let's say that goes on IR, or you have a chance to draft Tajay Spears, like take Tajay Spears over Mixon every single time and put him in that IR spot. Any of those guys that are out for the first 4 weeks of the season, I think are all going to be better than Joe Mixon, who again might not play this season. Like just be careful out there in those streets. Yeah. It's not something like he's on my do not draft list in like big bold red letters. Just don't do it.
Yeah, don't do it. The only thing I could recommend is if it was your last pick, and then you can slide him into IR and then pick up your defense at that point, fine. But still,
sure.
You don't want to mess with it. Don't mess with it. Don't mess with it. Okay, listen. We have run out of time because I want to keep this to a tight 45. Kendall's very busy. We've all got things to do. Tell you what, if you missed your question, don't be discouraged. We will be back. She'll be back in 2 weeks. I'll be back next week. But she's also on Fantasy Life every day on Sirius XM from 7 to 9 a.m. here on the West Coast, 9 to 11 on the East Coast. I will be on Fantasy Live every day. You can't miss us. We're talking so much fantasy. You cannot miss us. We will be out there. We'll be giving you as much information as possible. Also follow us on Twitter. You can follow her. What's your handle? Is
at Kendall at K Valenzuela 17. You can follow me there. I retweeted this stream too, so that's where you can follow me.
Oh my God, you're the best.
There we go.
Oh my God, how about Rocky? She's going to be on every other Monday. Like this is a thing that we decided. Like we worked out a deal with our friends at Fantasy Life, and I said, hey, I go like we don't want to over ask, extend our welcome, but like listen, believe you me, like this is one of the best guests that we've ever had, and we're very excited to have you on. It's really a lot of fun. I think everybody learned a lot tonight. So let's go out there, have a great week of fantasy football. Be sure to listen to her tomorrow. Check her out on Twitter and all that good stuff. And good luck to you, Kendall. Good luck on the rest of your dress.
Good luck to you. Appreciate it. See you next time.
We'll see you then. All right. So for Kendall, I'm Adam. Sammy, go ahead and play us out.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast with Adam Rank on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.